Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I am very happy you are here today. Find a comfortable place. Take a slow breath and imagine a simple ball resting on green grass. This ball may look ordinary, but it has an extraordinary story. It has traveled through ancient cities, busy English streets, school fields, ports, factories, and great stadiums. It has brought strangers together. It has created heroes, and it has made millions of people shout with joy. Today, we are going to discover the real story of football. Where did it begin? Who created its rules? And how did a simple game become the most popular sport in the world? The answer is not as simple as one name or one country. Football was not invented by one person on one special day. Its story grew slowly, over hundreds and even thousands of years. Many people played games with a ball, but in England, during the 19th century, these old games finally became the modern football we know today. So relax for a moment, listen carefully, and let us follow the ball through history. Our journey begins more than 2,000 years ago, in ancient China. At that time, China had large cities, strong armies, busy markets, and beautiful royal palaces. Soldiers needed to stay healthy and strong. They needed good balance, fast feet, and strong legs. To help them train, people played a game called Cuju. The word Cuju meant something like kickball. Players kicked a leather ball with their feet. They tried to send it through a small opening in a net. They could use different parts of their bodies, but they were not supposed to use their hands. This sounds quite familiar, does it not? The ball was not like a modern football. Early balls were often filled with hair or feathers. Later, people learned to make balls filled with air. These balls were lighter. They moved more easily, and the game became faster. At first, Cuju was connected with military training, but slowly, it became popular outside the army too. Rich people played it. Members of the royal court watched it, and ordinary people enjoyed it in towns and villages. Some players became very skilled. They could control the ball beautifully. They could pass it, turn with it, and keep it in the air. Large crowds sometimes came to watch them. Cuju is often described as the earliest known organized kicking game. But it was not exactly the same as modern football. The field was different. The number of players could change, and the rules were not the same rules we use today. Still, Cuju shows us something important. People have loved kicking a ball for a very long time. Ancient China was not the only place with ball games. In ancient Greece, people played games with balls. In the Roman world, soldiers also played physical ball games. Some involved kicking, others involved carrying or throwing. Across Central America, different cultures played important games with heavy rubber balls. These games were often connected with religion and public ceremonies. They were very different from football. But once again, people gathered together around a ball. Why did so many cultures create ball games? Perhaps the answer is simple. A ball can move in surprising ways. It can roll slowly, fly through the air, or suddenly change direction. A person can play alone or with friends. The rules can be easy, but the game can still be exciting. A ball creates a small mystery. Where will it go next? Many centuries passed. Kingdoms rose and fell. Cities changed. New roads were built, and the old ball games slowly changed too. Now, let us travel to medieval Britain. Imagine a cold morning in an English town. The streets are narrow. The houses are made of wood and stone. There are no cars. There are no electric lights. And there is no football stadium. But people are gathering in the street. Someone is holding a ball. It may be made from leather. It may be filled with cloth or with an animal bladder. Then, suddenly, the game begins. This early form of football was wild, very wild. Sometimes, one whole village played against another village. There could be dozens or even hundreds of players. One group tried to move the ball toward a place at one end of town. The other group tried to move it in the opposite direction. There was often no clear field. The game moved through streets, across open land, and sometimes through streams. Players could kick the ball, carry it, push other players, or fight to take it. There were few rules, and every town had its own way of playing. The games were exciting, but they could also cause problems. Windows broke, market tables fell, people were hurt, work stopped, and the streets became difficult to use. Some kings and local leaders tried to stop football. They thought it was too noisy, too dangerous, and too difficult to control. They sometimes wanted young men to practice other useful skills instead, but people continued to play. They played because the game was fun. They played because it brought the community together, and they played because people love competition. This old street football was still very different from the modern sport, but the idea was growing. Two sides, one ball, and a goal. By the 19th century, Britain was changing quickly. New factories appeared. Railways connected towns and cities. More people moved to large industrial areas. Schools were changing too. Many English schools played their own form of football. But there was a big problem. Every school had different rules. At one school, players could carry the ball in their hands. At another school, they could only kick it. Some schools allowed strong physical contact. Other schools wanted a calmer game. Imagine two school teams meeting for the first time. One captain might say, "We play with our feet." The other captain might answer, "But we carry the ball with our hands." Then the first captain might ask, "Can we push other players?" And the second captain might say, "Of course." Or perhaps he would say, "Absolutely not." Before they could play, the teams had to spend a long time deciding which rules to use. This was confusing. Football needed one clear system. In the year 1848, students at Cambridge University tried to solve the problem. Cambridge was an old and respected university. Students came there from many different schools. Each student knew a different kind of football. They wanted to play together, but first, they needed to agree. So representatives met and discussed the game. They talked about kicking, carrying, goals, free kicks, and physical contact. They tried to find rules that everyone could accept. These became known as the Cambridge Rules. The Cambridge Rules were an important step. They were not yet the final rules of modern football, but they helped people see that one shared system was possible. Still, football remained divided. Some players enjoyed carrying the ball. They liked a more physical game. This form slowly developed into rugby football. Other players wanted the game to focus mainly on kicking. This form would become association football, the sport that many people simply call football today. But who would bring all these ideas together? This takes us to London, in the year 1863. A man named Ebenezer Cobb Morley loved sport. He was a lawyer, and he was also the captain of a football club called Barnes. Morley believed football needed an official organization. Clubs should not argue about the rules before every match. They needed one set of laws that everyone could follow. He wrote a letter to a newspaper. He suggested creating a governing group for football. His idea worked. In October of 1863, representatives from several clubs met at the Freemasons' Tavern in London. The tavern was a busy meeting place, but what happened there would change sport forever. The men sat together around tables. They discussed the future of football. The discussions were not always easy. Some wanted players to carry the ball. Others wanted players to kick it only. Some supported a practice called hacking. This meant kicking another player in the leg to stop him. Other men believed this was too dangerous. They wanted it removed from the game. The meetings continued for several weeks. There were strong opinions. There were disagreements. And finally, some clubs decided not to accept the new system. They followed the path that led toward rugby. The remaining clubs continued their work. In December of 1863, they agreed on 13 laws for association football. The Football Association had been created. It was often called the FA. These early laws were not exactly like the rules today. There were no penalty kicks, no yellow cards, no goal nets, and some important details were still unclear. But the foundation was there. The game would mainly be played with the feet. Carrying the ball was not part of this new code. Dangerous hacking was removed. The field had clear limits, and the teams shared the same basic laws. For this reason, the year 1863 is usually seen as the birth of modern organized football. The Football Association itself says that organized football as we know it dates from this period. Football finally had a common language. Now, a club from one part of England could play a club from another part. They did not need to spend hours discussing the rules. Both teams understood the game. At first, however, football was not yet the great world sport we see today. Many early players were students, teachers, office workers, and men from wealthier families. But the game soon moved into the growing industrial towns of England and Scotland. Factory workers loved football. Life in the factories was hard. The days were long. The work was tiring. But changes in working hours gave some people more free time on Saturday afternoons. Football became a perfect activity. It did not need expensive equipment. Players needed a ball, open ground, and something to mark the goals. Two coats on the ground could become goalposts. A park, a field, or an empty space could become a football pitch. Factories, churches, schools, and local communities started football clubs. The players came from the same streets. They worked in the same factories. Their families knew one another. Supporting the local team became a way to show love for the town. Soon, matches attracted crowds. People stood beside the field. They shouted the names of players. They celebrated good passes. They complained about decisions, and they felt that the team belonged to them. Football was no longer only a game. It was becoming part of community life. In 1871, the Football Association created a national competition called the FA Cup. Clubs from different places could enter. One defeat could end a team's journey. Every match mattered. The competition gave football a new kind of excitement. A small club could meet a famous club. A local player could become a hero. A whole town could dream of reaching the final. The first international football match followed in 1872. Scotland played against England near Glasgow. The match ended with no goals. But the result was less important than the event itself. Two national teams had met under shared football rules. The game was ready to travel. And travel it did. British sailors played football near foreign ports. Railway workers took the game to new cities. Teachers introduced it in schools. Business people formed clubs far from home. Football moved across Europe. It reached South America, Africa, Asia, and many other parts of the world. Local people did not simply copy the British game. They made football part of their own cultures. In Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, football grew with great speed. Players developed creative styles. Crowds brought music, color, and strong emotion. In European cities, clubs became symbols of local identity. In schools and villages, children played wherever they found space. The game was simple enough to begin almost anywhere. A child did not need a perfect leather ball. A group of children could use cloth, paper, string, or anything that could roll. They did not need a beautiful stadium. A street could become a field. Stones could become goalposts. And imagination could create the crowd. This simplicity helped football spread faster than many other sports. In 1904, representatives from several European countries formed an international organization called FIFA. Its purpose was to help manage football between nations. Football was becoming a truly international game, but the rules still continued to change. Goalkeepers received special rules. Crossbars were added above the goalposts. Referees became more important. Goal nets appeared. Penalty kicks were introduced. The number of players became fixed at 11 for each team. Each change helped make the game clearer, safer, and easier to organize. Then came a new dream. A world competition. In 1930, the first Men's World Cup took place in Uruguay. Teams crossed long distances to play. Travel was slower and more difficult than it is today. Some European teams spent weeks on a ship to reach South America. Uruguay won the tournament, but something even bigger had begun. Every 4 years, National teams could now meet in one great competition. Players carried the hopes of millions of people. A goal could bring joy to an entire country. Over time, radio brought matches into homes. Then television allowed people to see games from far away. Later, satellites and the internet connected football supporters across the planet. A child in one country could watch a player from another country, learn his movements, and practice them the next morning. Women also have a long history in football. Women played organized matches in Britain during the 19th century and during the First World War. Women's factory teams attracted large crowds. For many years, however, women did not receive the same opportunities as men. In some places, football organizations even stopped women from using major fields. But women continued to play. They formed teams, built competitions, and fought for respect. Today, women's football is followed by millions of people. Its World Cup brings together great players from nations around the world. The journey is still continuing. So, who invented football? Ancient Chinese players gave us one of the earliest known kicking games. Many other cultures played their own ball games. Medieval British communities kept the tradition of football alive. Cambridge students tried to create shared rules. And Ebenezer Cobb Morley and the Football Association helped organize the modern game in 1863. Football has many parents and a very long family history. But perhaps its greatest creator was not one person. Perhaps it was the human wish to play together. Think about a football match for a moment. The ball belongs to no one for very long. One player passes it to another. A team must move together. A great player needs skill, but even a great player needs teammates. Football teaches patience. A team may attack many times before scoring. It teaches courage. A player may make a mistake, but must continue. It teaches cooperation, because 11 people must think as one group. And football creates stories. A small team can defeat a great team. A young player can score an important goal. A goalkeeper can save the match in the final moment. Supporters can arrive with little hope and leave with a memory they keep for the rest of their lives. This is why football is sometimes called the beautiful game. It is not always beautiful because every pass is perfect. It is beautiful because it is simple, uncertain, and human. Today, football is played in enormous stadiums under bright lights. Famous players travel around the world. Clubs have millions of supporters, and great matches are watched in many countries at the same time. But the heart of the game is still very small. It is a child and a ball. It is two friends using bags as goalposts. It is a family watching a match together. It is a team standing in a circle before the game, feeling nervous, but ready. The equipment may change. The stadiums may become larger, the cameras may become better, but the central idea remains the same. One ball, two teams. And the question that has excited people for generations: can we move the ball toward the goal? From ancient China to the streets of medieval Britain, from Cambridge fields to a London meeting room, from factory towns to every corner of the world, Football has traveled an incredible distance, and its journey is not over. Every time a new child kicks a ball, a new part of the story begins. Thank you for spending this peaceful time with me. I hope you enjoyed discovering the true story of football, and I hope this story helped you learn English in a calm and enjoyable way. You are doing a wonderful job. Every time you listen to an English story, you learn new words, new ideas, and new ways to understand the world. What story would you like to hear next? Please share your idea in the comments. And remember to like this story, subscribe to the channel, and continue your English journey with us. Take care of yourself. Keep learning. Keep listening. And I will meet you again in our next story.